Hey, folks, glad you could be here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. This is the show where we teach you how to naturally get well and stay well. And I'm so glad you could be here with me. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. Today, we're going to talk about men's health. So, ladies, you got to listen for your men, and men, you got to listen for yourselves. And it's really important because so many people, and men, I'm talking here, have issues. And they come into my offices and they say, Dr. Joe, I've got an issue with this, that, and the other. And we'll try to keep it family friendly here tonight. And the problem is they don't understand why. And when I sit down with them and we do an analysis, it's several different things. So I want you to pay attention because you may be having some issues, men, and you don't understand why. So there's three things we have to look at. Number one is we have to look at the nervous system. Your brain sends messages down your spine, out your nerves to every cell in the body. And with men and women, this kind of goes both ways here, the nerves in the low back control everything from the waist down. So you might have back pain, leg pain, hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain. Those same nerves control your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So many times when there's a pinched nerve in the low back, you might have gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, romantic function issues. Again, keeping it family friendly here. So any issue from the waist down could be coming from a pinched nerve in the low back. The other thing we have to look at is, do you have the proper nutrients? Because one of the problems I see, and in fact, I was just talking to somebody here in the studio about this before I went on the air, is there can be a circulation problem. And most people eat a bad diet. When I say a bad diet, I call it the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. I know, that's your whole life. I know. But alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener are the foods that can cause damage to the blood vessels, which can affect circulation. And if you eat a bad diet, you can have clogged arteries, and the arteries then can't carry blood to where they're supposed to go. So it could be a circulatory issue, and then it could be you're exposing yourself to certain chemicals. And you're going to be surprised today, I promise you. You're going to be surprised at a lot of the chemicals that you're exposing yourself to that have an adverse effect on your men's health and women's health too. Now, you always hear about women and hormones. We got to talk about men and hormones too. So you're worried about the pesticides on your apples, the plastic in your food, and you're worried about your girlfriends, your moms, your wives. Not so fast. A report in men's health from a nonprofit organization called the Environmental Working Group begs to differ. The same products that women worry about every day are just as bad for guys, sometimes worse, and it concludes that these hormone-mimicking chemicals can block the production of testosterone or boost the production of estrogen. Both can increase the men's chances of developing things like prostate cancer and having difficulty in fathering children. And this is a big issue because I had this study here somewhere, 1976, I think it was, until year 2000, somewhere around there, men's sperm count has dropped in many cases 50%. That's some scary numbers right there. So if men are dropping their sperm count, we've got a big issue here. Oh, here's the numbers. Here we go. According to the largest meta-analysis, which is an analysis of a bunch of different studies, sperm counts around the world declined by more than 50%, and it's to 47 million sperm per milliliter, from 1973 to 2013. So that's in your lifetime, probably. 50% decline. And that's a big issue. Now, I started practicing 1984, 85, yeah. And so I've been in practice a long time. And years ago, I didn't see a lot of problems that I see now with patients coming into our offices. We used to be old men, usually old men on blood pressure medication, would have functioning issues. Now we're seeing it in young guys, 20, 22, 24, coming in my office on a regular basis. I say, Doc, I just don't function like I'm supposed to. Well, there's a problem there. And we're looking at the sperm count being down by 50%. So that's a big issue. So what's causing this? What the heck is going on with men and their health? A lot of it has to do with the toxic chemicals and products that these men are using and being exposed to that are causing problems. Now, if you're just tuning in, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. I'm board certified in chiropractic, board certified in orthopedics, board certified in pain management, double board certified in nutrition. That's 5. BS in clinical nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. And this show is heard coast to coast and around the world. And I think we're the #1 health and wellness show in the country right now. So my job is to naturally get you well and keep you well. So let's talk about some things, gentlemen, that you're exposing yourselves to that you need to stop. First up, this will be surprising, your sofa, your couch. Many times it's loaded with flame retardants and protected with stain and water repellents made with chemicals called PFOAs. Now, flame retardants have been linked to things like lower sperm counts, lower sperm mobility, abnormally shaped sperm, and it can combine with and interfere with your ability to father children. Studies looking at PFOA exposure in occupational settings and in women and people whose water have been contaminated show that the chemical can increase cholesterol levels, which can raise your risk of heart disease. So you're thinking, how innocent is that? My couch. So what do we do about it? Well, I mean, you could throw it away and get an organic couch if you wanted to, but there's some options here for you. So don't worry. Every time I take away something, I'm going to give you something in return. So that's the good news. Best move is to dust and vacuum regularly. Now, that goes for men and women. You got to dust and vacuum because what happens is these flame retardants bind to dust and you'll inhale them every time you flop down on the couch. So you just need to do it on a regular basis. Now, you can get it professionally cleaned, and there are cleaning services that use special water that'll help clean up these toxic chemicals. But also, don't add these things. If you're going to get a couch and you're thinking, well, I'm going to get the thing that's going to prevent stains on it, because I got this great deal from the couch manufacturer, you might want to reconsider that because it is going to be a chemical. It's going to break down. It's going to attach to the dust. You're going to inhale it. It's going to get into your body. Your favorite body spray. In fact, we got all boys here tonight, right? We got Johnny. Johnny's over there. Ahmad, right? Josh is over there. So it's and me. So we got all the boys in the studio today. And I said when I walked into the studio, I said, somebody's wearing horrible cologne. And Josh said, is it me? And I said, well, no, you have cologne on, but it was something worse. Whoever was here before me. And this is a problem, gentlemen, because these chemicals can get into our body. You think it's a chick magnet, but these synthetic fragrances are chemical soups that contain up to 200 different chemicals. Among them are called phthalates, which can be used as to keep the fragrance from dissipating too quickly, but that's a problem. Folks, got to go to break. I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you have a healthcare question, not just about men's health, but anything, give me a call. The number's 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, we archive our radio shows. If you have questions, you can send them me through the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. But the lines are open now, 844-44-DR-Joe. Hey, folks, tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. This is the show. We're going to help you get well and stay well because one thing we all have in common, I don't care who you are, where you're from, we all have one thing in common, and that is health issues. We want to find out what we can do to better get well and stay well. And that's what we do on this show. And these are podcasts. We put them on my website, drjoeesposito.com. So if you hear something you like or if you want to listen to other shows between broadcasts, we have hundreds of thousands of people go to the website. And you can listen to them. Also, I videotape my live lectures. When I do a live lecture, I'll also videotape it and put it on my website as well because some people are visual learners and some people auditory. So however you learn, I'm going to give you that technique. So we're talking about men's health and the things that we need to listen to. Now, we talked a little bit about phthalates. Phthalates have been associated with several types of sperm damage, including low sperm counts, impaired sperm movement, and abnormally shaped sperm. Recently, researchers from the National Institute of Health found that couples in which the man had high levels of phthalates took 20% longer to get pregnant than couples where the men had lower levels of phthalates. Now, you spell phthalates P-H-T-H-A-L-A-T-E because people usually say, now, what was that word again? Phthalate? Yeah, that's how it is. Now, you can still get the girls without body sprays, despite what the commercials say. I know that you'll be shocked, men. You don't have to smell so pretty. And while you're at it, you want to look at other companies that have other chemicals that can be found in things like shampoo, soap, shaving cream, and other grooming products. They contain artificial fragrances and phthalates, and you got to be careful with that. Now, here's the thing about using colognes and sprays. And in fact, I just shook hands with somebody a few minutes ago, and they had a spray or cologne on, and now my hand smells. And I've tried to wash it off, and I don't know how to get this stuff off. It's always amazing how sometimes, even I'll adjust patients, I'm a chiropractor, and they'll have cologne on, and it's like, it's on my hands for days. I don't know how it ever washes off. But your body produces something called pheromones. Pheromones are natural odors, and you can't smell them, but, dogs can smell each other. Well, we smell each other, too. And these pheromones are the things that attract you to other people. And some scientists believe that you're attracted to certain pheromones and you're not attracted to other pheromones for chemical reasons. And so if you're covering up your pheromones, you might be A, attracting people you shouldn't be attracted to, and B, you might not be attracting people because they can't smell your pheromones, even though they don't know they're smelling it. So just be clean. And this is the thing, you want to use a natural soap because your skin is a sponge. And this goes for colognes, hairsprays, deodorants. Anything that comes in contact with your skin is going to be absorbed. We can do medications. We can put a patch on your body so the medications are absorbed. Well, if you're using hairspray, colognes, deodorants that have toxic chemicals in it, they're getting absorbed into your body, affecting your hormones, either lowering your testosterone and or increasing your estrogen levels. Now, estrogen causes cell growth. Most of us as adults don't need to grow anymore. And if you're not growing up, you're growing out. And it's affecting your hormones, and that can cause abnormal cell growth. We don't want that. All right, lots of callers. Let's go to the callers. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Daniel, how can we make your day better?
Hey, how you doing?
Very well.
I am curious because I come across this over the past few weeks, and I think I actually used one wrong word to the call screener. What can you tell me, if anything, about spinal or cervical arrhythmia and how dangerous it could actually be, if it's actually a real thing, and how often it could possibly be misdiagnosed?
Okay, spinal arrhythmia, those are two words. I'm not sure we got them right here because arrhythmia is when the heart beats erratically, doesn't beat smoothly.
Correct.
Okay, so perhaps what you're talking about is the nerves in the neck. They come out of the spine and control the heart and the lungs and the thyroid. So I've seen many patients over the years when they have a pinched nerve in the lower neck or the upper back, and it's affecting their heart function. It can affect blood pressure, it can affect heartbeat. And so by putting the bones back in place, we take the pressure off the nerves, and that allows the messages from the brain to get to the heart and the messages from the heart to get to the brain. Because the brain tells the heart what to do. The heart tells the brain, okay, I just did that. What do I do now? And that's for every organ. So by having pinched nerves, absolutely, you're correct, yes.
Yeah, I first come across it 20, 25 years ago. The job I was doing, I was constantly pulling the same stuff out every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew it was a real thing because when one particular one would come out, I learned to start feeling it. My heart rate would be a little bit faster. Couldn't do anything not anything to worry about. Just instead of 68, maybe it was 78.
Right.
And I couldn't know nothing I did would slow it down until I went and got an adjustment.
Right.
I just recently came across figuring out, there's a name to it.
Yeah, well, that's
never come across that.
That's really the basis of chiropractic. Chiropractic was essentially developed by D.D. Palmer. It started September 8th, 1895 in Davenport, Iowa. And what he found was that if a nerve going to an organ wasn't working, that organ wasn't working. So chiropractic originally was founded, if you will, on getting the organs working properly. As a byproduct, people found out, my back feels better too. So you kind of went back to the roots here in chiropractic, and you're absolutely right.
Cool. I appreciate it. Just come across your show. I'll be listening to it a little more often. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Glenn, how can we make your day better?
Hey, yes, sir. Long-time listener. And I had one of those hair analysis tests done.
Yes.
And the arsenic came in off the chart.
Wow. Okay.
Any remedies for that? Suggestions for...
Absolutely, yeah, because we do hair analysis in our office a lot, and we find a lot of things when you see mercury, arsenic. One of the things you got to avoid, a couple of things you got to avoid. Number one, you got to avoid all pesticides and chemicals. You just got to stay away from all those. So if you're having lawn care done at your house, get an organic lawn care service to come in or do it yourself. You also have to avoid rice, because rice is naturally occurring arsenic. It absorbs it from the soil. Now, many times if it's not organic rice, they use chicken poop to fertilize the rice. They use it for a lot of different fertilizers. And I think if I got this correctly, and don't quote me on this one here, I think there's 3 major chicken foods, and I think 2 of them have arsenic in it. So if the chicken's eating arsenic, and the chicken poops out the arsenic, and then they take it and sprinkle it on the fields where the rice grows, you're going to get higher levels of arsenic. So for you, absolutely positively, you got to stay away from rice. And also just getting on a clean diet. The body has an amazing capability to clean itself out. So if your bowels should be moving 2 to 3 times a day. If the bowels aren't moving 2 to 3 times a day, you got to straighten out your diet. Check the nervous system. You might have pinched nerves going to the bowels. I have a product that's on my website. It's called Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser, and it's great for keeping the bowels moving as well. But cutting out the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, which are sources of pesticides, and the rice, getting the bowels moving, eating a lot more organic fruits and vegetables, the body should detoxify itself relatively quickly.
You think wild salmon is a problem?
I wouldn't do wild salmon just because you still run the risk of mercury. And if you're absorbing heavy metals, you want to stay away from all that. So I'd stay away from all fish if I were you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Glenn, thanks for calling. I do appreciate that. All right, let's keep taking the calls. Lots of callers today. Bill, how can we make your day better? Nope. I'm getting a hold on a second. Okay, got to go to a break. Can you hold on 1 second, Bill? Thanks so much. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. My website is drjoeesposito.com. If you have a question, the number here is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DR-JOE. That was Johnny, my board operator, giving me the don't take a question yet. Good job, Johnny. Way to keep it going, man. All right. And my website, we have a lot of good information there. We archive radio shows. I have my own line of supplements like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which I think everyone should be taking. That's the minimum amount of nutrients you should take every day. Those are also available if you want more information on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. I'm glad you could be here. This is the show where we naturally get you well and keep you well. I want to give you the tools to take care of yourself. Healthcare is a mess. If you listen to the news, unless you live under a rock, you know what's going on, and it's just a mess, and nobody can agree on what kind of healthcare we should have. Now, I'm going to take a step back and tell you something, that they're not talking about healthcare. They're talking about insurance. There's a big difference. Healthcare is you getting the treatment that you need and or giving it to yourself. Insurance is the thing that pays for it. Now, supposed to pay for it. And no matter what program we go to, you're looking at deductibles, you're looking at co-pays, you're looking at things not being covered, even though they said they're covered. It's a bunch of junk. I can't say the word I want to say on the air because I'm a New Jersey boy and I got to be polite here. But what's happening is you have to learn how to take control of your own health. There is no other option if your goal is to get well and stay well. So we're talking today about men's health specifically, but it kind of goes across the board for everybody. And we're saying things that we gentlemen, need to avoid. And we covered a couple of things earlier. Now I want to talk about something you're going to be surprised to hear, and some of you may not be happy with this, and that's takeout food. The plastic containers your food comes in aren't just wasteful, they're also exposing you to a lot of chemicals and phthalates. These are one of the chemicals that you want to eliminate from your body. Bisphenol A, or BPA, is oftentimes found in these chemicals as well, found in the takeout boxes. So like phthalates, bisphenol A has been shown to damage your sperm, lowering sperm count, decreasing sperm vitality, and impairing sperm movement. Plus, BPA has the added effect of damaging your prostate. And this according to animal studies that have linked this chemical to prostate cancer in rats. So bisphenol A, not a good idea. So what do we do? This is tough, guys. We like to go out. We like to get out fast food. I get that. Well, one of the things you might have to do is actually sit down and eat. Takeout might be convenient, but eating at the restaurant saves on garbage, but it also saves your prostate. Now, at home, ditch the plastic storage containers. If you have plastic in your house, you can only put cold things in the plastic. And don't freeze things in the plastic, because when things freeze, they expand and they can scratch the plastic. So you want to use you want to use glass as much as possible, or metal works too, but glass is going to be your best one. Now, what I do is whenever I get a glass container, if it's a good size, I'll wash it out and I'll save it. And I'll use that to store things in. So if you like your fast food, what do? You're in a pickle. Well, this is where you may actually have to start learning how to prepare your own food. Now, how do we do this easily? Well, number one, you can do pre-made salad. You can buy a bag of salad, and it has toppings on it, has salad dressing in it, usually around $3. And it's usually good for 2 meals, unless you want to eat a big salad. That's a whole lot cheaper than anything else you're doing, and you don't have to go out. You don't have to get in your car, drive, get a container, bring it back, throw it away. So much better for you and for everyone involved, including your wallet. You're going to save a lot of money. And gentlemen, if you want to impress the ladies, you'll have a little more money to spend on them. How about that? You might actually learn how to, dare I say, prepare your own food. Did I curse at you? Yeah, you may have to learn how to actually make your own food. It's not hard. It's easy. In fact, my first book, it's called Eating Right for the Health of It, is a guide on how to make your own food. It tells you what to eat, what not to eat if you're going to parties. First half of the book tells you how to change your diet. And the second half is actually recipes and prep ideas. Really simple, really easy. That's on my website too, drjoeesposito.com. You can do something as simple as an avocado. I bought avocados just today. They were 89 cents for big avocados. And an avocado is loaded with good fat, which is actually good for your hormones. And with an avocado, just cut it open, take the pit out, sprinkle on some salt, air-dried sea salt, of course, and eat it. I take something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day. Now, this is the minimum amount of nutrients that you should be taking every single day. It's 2 powders. I mix it with coconut milk, almond milk. I have it right here in the studio with me. Shake it up in a glass container, a little glass jar, and drink it. And I tell you what, when you start taking it, this is the downside of taking Super Greens and Essential Source. When you start taking it, you're going to realize how good you feel after just a few days, and you're not going to want to not take it. And when days come along where you didn't have it with you, you ran out or whatever, you're going to realize how good you can possibly feel. And I tell people, listen, do it for a month. If you don't like it, don't do it for another month. It's fine. But stuff is pretty amazing. And it's on my website, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source at drjoeesposito.com. So, gentlemen, as you try to improve your health, increase your stamina and vitality and energy levels, and I find it helps my brain function, I think Super Greens and Essential Source need to be part of that. All right, let's take some more callers. Ann, how can we make your day better?
Yes, thank you for taking my call, Dr. Joe. I am a instructor in the Rockdale County school system, and what I've seen in the schools are vending machines with all kind of sugars in them, sodas, and etc. And even down to my own grandkids, I cannot convince the students to lay off of that and try to eat more nutritiously. So my question is, do you have a program, or do you occasionally go out to speak to schools or do seminars where parents have asked you to come out, anything to get to the minds of these children?
Yes, the answer is yes. I don't go to schools anymore. I used to lecture at schools a lot, but what happened was kids would go home and talk to their parents, and the parents only got a piece of the story. And they'd call me up and they say, oh, you told my kid not to eat milk, and where are they going to get their calcium from? And then I have to go into the whole lecture that I did on calcium and how dangerous milk is. And I found that I was just spinning my wheels. So what a lot of teachers do, and you can do this too, go to my website. I have videos as well as audios, and you can play them in the school, in the classroom. A lot of teachers do this all around the country. And they'll say, okay, we have Dr. Joe speaking today, and so I'll just do a lecture and let the kids listen to it and then open up the conversation. Because a famous guy once said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I find when I start talking to kids, or anyone actually, and they go, oh, okay, I can do that. That makes sense. I'm willing to cut out these bad foods. I'm willing to increase my salads. I'm willing to, have salad for lunch instead of burgers. So if you want to go to my website, you have my permission to take any of the audios or the videos and use them in your classrooms.
Yeah, that sounds great, but my own grandkids, they have to physically hear you and see you in their presence for it to get through. They just may not even be interested in looking.
Sure.
So I thought maybe there was a seminar I could bring them to.
Yeah, and there is. Yeah, if you go to my website,
that.
Go to my website, and I have a list of my live lectures that I do, and you're more than welcome to bring them to any of my lectures.
And all right, thank you so much.
My pleasure. A lot of folks ask me that, and I can only, I still practice and I do my radio shows, and so it's a little busy, but I do public lectures. And if you go to my website, you can see when I'm lecturing. I'd love to have you come out. It's a lot of fun. Nancy, how can we make your day better? Oh, you know what, Nancy?
Hey,
Nancy, you got a great question. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yes, sir.
All right, don't hang up on me. You got a great question. Johnny again to the rescue. What is it today, Johnny? I always watch the clock. You know why? Johnny and Ahmad are so good looking that I'm just distracted by them. And Josh, I just see Josh's ear from here. So I got like the 3 most handsome men in radio. I'm defending my boys. I got the 3 handsomest men in radio. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr. My website, drjoeesposito.com. Or you can Google Dr. Joe. You can order Super Greens, Essential Source. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram as well. And if you want to order the supplements, they're also available on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. So again, the website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, do me a favor. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. This is the show where we teach you how to naturally get well and stay well, because that's my job. I want to give you the information you need to naturally get well and stay well. You know, it's always funny when I say follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. It's so fun. Both my accounts just light up with people from around the country. So I do appreciate that. We send out not a lot of information, but we send out some good information when we're doing shows, when we're doing lectures. So follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. I think that would be a good thing for you to do. We'll teach you some good things. All right, now there we go. Nancy, go ahead. Now I got you. How can we help you today?
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I have suffered with GERD for about 10 years, and I am taking just an absurd amount of medicine that is not working.
Yep.
And I'm hoping to try to discover a different lifestyle and nutritional plan that might actually be effective.
Sure. So if we can show you how to fix that, I'll be your new best friend.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I want to be your BFF, Nancy, your best friend there. Okay, so what happens is you have a sheet of muscle called your diaphragm, and it divides your body in half. And your stomach sits below your diaphragm. When you eat food, it drops through a hole in the diaphragm called the lower esophageal sphincter. And the sphincter opens, drops foods into your stomach. It closes, you digest food, and you pass it on to the small intestine. That's normal. What's happening with you is your stomach is pushed up into the diaphragm and pushed up through the lower esophageal sphincter. So food that's supposed to stay in your stomach is now refluxing, gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's not really a disease, it's a condition. But the acid is coming up into your esophagus. And so what you're doing is you're taking medication to neutralize your stomach acid, which in one case can help you, but it can also cause a lot of serious damage because A, you need acid to break food down, to break food into proteins into amino acids. And B, the medication you're taking most likely is preventing you from properly absorbing B12, calcium, iron, and magnesium. So you're not absorbing your nutrients, so you might have muscle cramps, brain fog because you need the B vitamins for brain, calcium, of course, for bone and blood. So you're kind of in a pickle here. So the number one reason we see patients in our offices, we have 3 offices, is for pain. Of course, we're chiropractors, neck pain, back pain, car accidents. The number 2 reason we see patients is for digestive problems like GERD. And what we do in our offices, and I had this for years until I figured out how to fix it, we take the stomach and we massage it. We pull it down away from the diaphragm so that we physically move the stomach. The sphincter, the valve can close, and then you're able to digest your food again. But I had this for years, the burping, the gas, the irritation. It affects brain function because you're not producing neurotransmitters. You're not absorbing your nutrients to make the brain work. And boy, when I finally figured out how to fix it and taught my interns how to fix me, the whole world changed. And a lot of patients have high blood pressure because the same nerve that controls the stomach controls the heart. It's called the vagus nerve. So when you fix the stomach physically, a lot of the chemical problems go away.
Wow, because it's just living in a constant state of sick to your stomach.
Yep, every meal, every day.
No matter what.
Yep.
So you're saying that this could be, a chiropractic care could be helpful for this?
It usually is. Now, can I promise it's going to help you? No, but I can tell you after 32 years of practice and tens of thousands of patients, we get a really high success rate on this. Yeah, and you're right near one of our offices, so if you want to come see us, we'd be more than happy to have you come see us.
I do. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
My pleasure. And you have an office in Marietta, right?
Yeah, we'll see you there, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Nancy.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and the website, folks, we have a lot of articles there, and that is the number 1 article we have downloaded by far on gastroesophageal reflux disease. Number 2 article is on attention deficit disorder, ADD. Now, it's interesting because the stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. Now, this affects men's health as well as women. The amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps you calm down and focus. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that gives you pleasure. So men and women, when it comes to functioning here, will say, well, I just have no romantic drive anymore. I don't get pleasure out of romance. And a lot of it can be because you're not breaking down your proteins into amino acids to produce the neurotransmitter to give you pleasure. Pretty cool, huh? And many times when we fix somebody's digestive system, they say, wow, my whole life changed. My stomach flattens out. My muscles feel tighter. I'm happy. I'm able to focus. And that's why when I see people with any emotional condition, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, almost always, in fact, I've never had a case where there wasn't an undiagnosed or untreated digestive problem. You got to fix that to make the brain work because the brain and the stomach are so intricately connected. And that's why as a chiropractor, we want to get your nervous system working, your digestive system working, and good nutrition. And I look at people's diets and I go, oh my gosh, how are you even surviving? How are you even alive eating these foods? And many times that's going to affect your men's health, your prostate, your romantic function, your muscle building, your energy levels, your ability to focus. So we need to get the brain functioning normally by giving you the right nutrition. And that's why I say everyone should take at least Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because that's the minimum amount of nutrients that you need to get your body working. And then what we do is we do a complete nutritional workup on all our patients, because when you come in our office, I want to get not only your spine working, and this is my team of doctors working on you. So when you come in our office, you're probably going to see other doctors. You may see me, but you'll see other doctors as well, because they're all trained by me, and they do exactly, they're as good or better than I am. I can tell you that about all my doctors. So my team of doctors are there for you every day, as a matter of fact. Let's go back to the callers. Dolores, how can we make your day better?
Hi, I had an MRI, and they say I have spinal stenosis on my lower back, and I should get a moderate to severe, and they say I can get injections or surgery, and I have also problems with my bladder and interstitial cystitis, and I'm wondering if chiropractic would help me.
Well, the reason you have spinal stenosis is because the bones are out of place rubbing up against each other. Okay, and that's osteoarthritis, the bones rubbing up against each other. And so the canal in between the spine, where the spine goes, the spinal cord goes, has become narrow. And so if you get injections, I'm not against the injections, believe me. I'm fine with surgery. I'm fine with medicine when we used properly. If the bones are out of alignment, you need to get them put back in alignment. And in many cases, that resolves the issue with spinal stenosis. Let's assume it doesn't. At least then you've taken away the cause of the stenosis, and then when you do get the shots, most likely they're going to be more effective. A lot of surgeons, orthopedists, neurologists, they'll send cases to my team of doctors to have them work on them to try to resolve the issue before we go into a more aggressive step. And then if for some reason we can't, which is very rare, then we send them back to the surgeon, and the doctor says, this is great, at least you're healthy now going into the treatment. So the answer is probably yes. So if you want to call my offices, we can go ahead and take a look at that for you, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Folks, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or you could just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, do me a favor. If you need a second opinion, you can always go to my website, send me questions. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. And we archive our radio shows. We have podcasts, so you can listen to the shows, watch videos of my lectures. My job is to help you get well and stay well. And you can get Super Greens and Essential Source on the website as well. Hey, we'll be right back. Well, I am so glad that you're here today. I am Dr. Joe. What we're talking about today is men's health, specifically things that men need to do or not do to obtain and maintain good health. And I think you'll be surprised when we talk about a lot of things that you're doing you never knew were actually causing problems. We talked a lot about chemicals in the past. Let's keep talking about chemicals. If you eat canned food, many times there's an epoxy lining in the canned food, and it's made with something called bisphenol A. Now, even cans marked BPA-free can use something called BPS, bisphenol S, which has a similar reaction. What it does is it messes with your sperm and your prostate. It's been shown in a number of studies to increase the risk of heart disease, things like high blood pressure in adults, and the high levels of the chemicals when they're in your system oftentimes correlate to these other healthcare issues. Current BPA alternatives are also proving to mimic the same health problems, like we said, like BPS. So you want to look for alternatives to cans. Glass jars are a good idea. Those aseptic cartons, those boxes they use for soups and broths, that's a good idea. And you can also make your own food. Now, sometimes that's a little tricky. So what I find is if you at least get organic food, you have a lower risk. Many organic companies don't use bisphenol A, but it's there. Also, the more acid the foods, the higher the risk of the problem. So if you're going to buy beans or chickpeas or something like that, what I recommend you do is wash them first. Wash them really well. That'll help rinse off any of the toxins. Many times they use a cheap salt, like white salt, and that'll help clean it off as well. Again, these little steps that we need to take, we boys need to take to protect ourselves from health issues. Pesticides are a big issue. So if you're eating a lot of non-organic food, which most people are all day, every day, The pesticides will really wreak havoc on your body. In men, the chemicals have been shown to increase your risk of developing prostate cancer, increasing your risk of infertility. Many of the most common bad guys, which fall into the classes of chemicals known as organophosphates or organochlorines, have been detected in a lot of fruits and vegetables. Now, that's bad. However, the worst of the foods to eat, the worstest, would be the animal products. Because if you're eating chicken and beef and pork, many times these animals are fed, first of all, genetically modified corn and soy and other foods that are loaded. They're sprayed down with a lot of chemicals. The animals eat it, and they store these toxins in their muscle and their fat cells. So when you're eating them, you're really eating a heavy concentration. So if you have to pick between eating organic animal products and organic fruits and vegetables, absolutely positively you want to eat organic animal products only, or the other option is don't eat animal products. Because we find with men's health especially, and women too, you increase the risk of cancer dramatically because animal proteins stimulate something called the mTOR pathway. And the mTOR pathway is cancer. It's where cancer forms and kind of starts. Animal proteins will do it. Plant proteins won't. So that's kind of an interesting twist there. So when people come in my offices and say you have cancer, I say, listen, I'm not an oncologist. I'm not going to treat you for cancer. I will tell you what you need to do to get healthy so your body hopefully, fights off the cancer. And I tell them you got to give up the animal products and the sugar, of course, too. You got to give up the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. But if you're going to eat animal products, I'm begging you, please, organic only. Better choice, I feel, is don't eat them. I haven't had any animal products in over 30 years now. But it's a good choice. But I'm also a realist. I understand that people aren't always going to do that. So, for example, if you're going out to dinner, you can have a big salad. Oh, my gosh, what a concept. Instead of having a burger. Now, it's so much less expensive to eat healthy. My food bill is silly how low it is. I mean, the biggest thing, if I go out to dinner or if I go out to lunch, I'm spending a ton of money compared to what I'd spend for several days on food. And I take, of course, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day because the Super Greens and the Essential Source are going to give you the nutrients that your body needs to function at a higher level. And that's going to help the immune system. It's going to help your digestive system. It's going to help your brain function. I honestly don't know how people survive without Super Greens and Essential Source as a minimum amount of nutrients. And that stuff just rocks. And it tastes good, too. It's 2 powders, and I mix it in a glass jar with coconut milk, ramen milk, and drink it down at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. If I have a date, if I'm going out dancing, if I'm going on a hike, if I'm going kayaking, I'm going to take a double dose of Super Greens and Essential Source if I don't sleep well at night, because it really helps tremendously. This stuff is amazing. And once you start taking it, I'm warning you, just be careful. You're going to be thrilled, in most cases, how good you feel. If you have a question, I'm going to go back to the calls at 844-44-Dr. Joe. By the way, that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Steve, how can we make your day better?
Yes, Dr. Joe. I'll give you a little background. 26 years ago, I had to have disc fusion between, I believe it was C4 and C5. 12 years ago, I had to have another disc fusion, and when the orthopedic went in, he fused 3 to 4 and 5 to 6 because the cadaver bone fusion that they did originally was so good, he felt safe with using that. Now, about a month and a half ago, I sneezed. And when I sneeze, people in 3 cities around me know that I've sneezed. Sneezed very hard. Felt something pop, kind of crackle in my neck. What I'm wondering is it possible that fusion has failed? Am I looking at another surgery? Am I looking at something the chiropractic can take care of? I'm just kind of at a loss.
Sure. Now, I don't know if you shook anything loose that you're going to need another surgery. I certainly hope not. Me too. Yeah, we see post-surgical patients literally all day, every day. And a lot of surgeons will even send their cases to us after the surgery and say, listen, get them healthy. They'll send it before the surgery, too. Get them as healthy as you can. Hopefully we can avoid the surgery. If not, once they're done with surgery, they'll send them to my team of doctors, and we'll work on them after surgery to stabilize the spine. Because there's a reason why you had the surgery. Something was out of whack. And if you don't fix that, well, you're just setting yourself up. Like I said, you've had 2 already, so I don't know what happened, but the chances are it would be a real good idea to keep that spine aligned all the way from your toes to your head just to make sure you don't have other problems. So if you want to give us a call, we'd be more than happy to take a look at it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Steve. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, if you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, listen to radio shows, send me questions, drjoeesposito.com. or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. Also, my supplements, my books, they're also available on Amazon. Some folks find it easier if they have an Amazon account just to order through Amazon. Hey, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. I am so glad that you're here because we're giving you a lot of good information. Today we're talking about men's health. But again, a lot of these things, cross over to men and women, of course. It's general health, but specifically for men because so often men come into my offices and they say, well, Dr. Joe, I've got this problem, that problem, and what do I do about it? And many times it's a physical problem. What I mean by that, there could be a pinched nerve. The nerves in the spine control everything. So if there's a pinched nerve going to your liver, your spleen, your thyroid, your kidneys, your earwax, your toenails, those organs aren't going to work properly. And this, I believe, is the missing link when it comes to healthcare. We're going to, I promise you, in the next 5 to 10 years, this is going to be the thing. That if you have a pinched nerve going to an organ, that organ can't work. So in men's health, usually we talk about below the waist, a pinched nerve in the low back might cause back, hip, leg, knee, and foot pain, but that nerve also controls your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So now you might see gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, romantic issues, prostate problems. And it's funny because I've been doing this for 32 years, 6 and 7 days a week. And when you come into my office, many times you'll see my team of doctors because I'm doing radio shows now. You'll see me sometimes too, but don't be surprised if you're going to see my team of doctors as well. All my doctors are handpicked by me, trained by me, and are my personal doctors. So if I don't trust them taking care of me and my family, they're not going to take care of you. So men will come in and we'll talk about, or anyone will come in and I'll check their spine. I say, you got a pinched nerve here. This goes to the pancreas. Oh my gosh, I'm diabetic. This nerve goes to your lungs. Oh my gosh, I'm an asthmatic. How did you know that, doc? And they think I'm like a wizard or something. And it's like, no. This nerve goes here. This nerve goes there. And I know which pinched nerve it is, so I can tell you where the problem is. It's not rocket science. I want to impress you how smart we are, but unfortunately, it's really just tracing a nerve out. So, gentlemen and ladies, if you smoke, I don't think I need you to tell you that you need to stop that. But one of the reasons is tobacco leaves are usually high in something called cadmium, which is a heavy metal. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, people who smoke have twice as much cadmium in their bodies as non-smokers. And cadmium is a suspect in causing prostate cancer. So you always wonder, like, smoking causes cancer. Here's a reason why. And what we do in our offices many times, we'll do a hair analysis on our patients. So we can even do this, we can have somebody send us in a sample of their hair. We can do an analysis on it. And we can check to see if you have heavy metal toxicity. And if you do, we put you on a protocol to try to get your body cleaned up as quickly as possible because the heavy metal in the body can affect the nervous system. Like mercury, for example, can affect the nervous system. And as a chiropractor, I want to make sure your nervous system is working at 100%, not just physically, but chemically. Let's go back to the callers. We have lots of callers. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E. Kenny, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. I have a question, and I'm almost afraid to ask because I think you're probably going to know the answer, and it frightens me. I'm 61, great health. About 20 years ago, I gained a bunch of weight. I got lazy and gained a bunch of weight, which I've since lost.
Good.
But I had a couple of those nuclear treadmill tests that they do in the cardiologist's office where they put the radiation in your arm and then you get on the treadmill and so forth.
Sure.
Had one when I was 40, one again when I was about 50. Do I need to be worried about some catastrophic consequence of that now or down the road? Do you have enough experience with it?
I definitely have an opinion on that, and I don't like putting anything in the body. And in fact, there was a case not too long ago of a young girl, 6 or 7 years old, and she had hyperactive thyroid. And the doctor said, well, we can either remove the thyroid or we can give her radiation to kill the thyroid. Mm-hmm. And that's an approach. They give you radioactive iodine. The iodine is absorbed by the thyroid and it kills the thyroid. Well, my concern is where else does that radiation go? And especially in a young girl. And I said to the parent, and we talked to the doctors about it, I said, if you have a choice between the two, and it were me, I would say remove the thyroid instead of giving you the radiation. And she did, and she's fine. So she has to take medication the rest of her life, and I understand that, but this was a case that the holistic approach wasn't enough for this girl. She needed the more aggressive approach. Now, that being said, your body will detoxify itself. So chances are, by now, all that stuff that's in you has been taken out of your body. But it sounds like you're doing everything right as well. So if you were a smoker and you ate a lot of meat and dairy and sugar and breads and cookies and cakes and artificial sweeteners, and you have the radiation, then I'd be really concerned.
No, the bread's the only part of that I I do. So, is there anything I can do to expedite getting it out of my body if there is any residual radiation in me?
Anytime we look at any toxin in the body, we always got to turn to the liver, because the liver is the major detoxification organ, and the skin. Mm-hmm. So if you did a far infrared sauna, actually near infrared sauna, either one, infrared saunas open up the cells and are great ways to detoxify. So you can either buy one. They're a couple $1,000s if you want to buy one for your house, or they actually have small single-person ones as well. But I'd probably, with you, do the near infrared and see if you can get those toxins out of. Just another way to detoxify. It's also good in the winter, too. If you have a cold or a flu or something, stick yourself in the sauna. It really helps detoxify the body and stimulate the immune system.
You don't think I need to lay awake at night worrying about this?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Just cut out the breads, then you'll even be happier. So.
Thanks, Dr. Joe.
Thanks, Kenny. Hope you sleep well tonight. Yeah, and that's a good point, that we are exposed to things in our lives. And what do we do about it? Well, as long as you're living the good lifestyle, you're staying away from the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, what I call the 7 deadly sins. You're eating a lot of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Again, I take Super Greens and Essential Source, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because they really help to detoxify and cleanse the body. They give the body the nutrients that it needs to get junk out of the system. So when I designed Super Greens and Essential Source, I did it for myself. I had a condition called macular degeneration. And I said, what do I got to do about this? And the doctor said, well, you're probably just going to go blind from it, and that is what it is. So I started I changed my diet already, but I started doing the Super Greens, the Essential Source, and 2 years later I went back and I was about 60% better. 2 years later I went back, I'm about 80% better. So I'm actually healing something that normally doesn't heal, which is macular degeneration. It's called drusen. So that's why I'm such a big fan of Super Greens and Essential Source, because it does so many different things on so many different levels. And I eat a good diet. I eat about 60% raw. I'm vegan. I've been a vegan for over 30 years now. I run circles around the 20-year-olds, which is not hard to do because my body's healthy. And this is the thing when it comes to health. You don't have to be healthy. You just have to not be sick. And I talk about that with students. You don't have to be really smart anymore. You just have to not dumb yourself down. And you dumb yourself down by putting bad chemicals in your body. And as a chiropractor, I always want to look at the person's nervous system. Because, again, this is the key. This is the missing link when it comes to healthcare. And I promise you, in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be in the forefront, and everybody's going to be saying, wow, oh my gosh, now I understand it. If you have a pinched nerve going to a liver, a spleen, a kidney, a gallbladder, those organs can't work properly. I need to get my nervous system fixed. Car accidents. I've never seen a car accident where the car was damaged where the occupants weren't. Ever. And I don't care what the insurance companies want to do to argue. Well, it was only $500 worth of damage, so you weren't hurt. And how many years have you done research in biophysics and spinal studies? 0. Well, we're not going to pay you. I don't care. I care that you get well. And trust me, it's a lot cheaper to be healthy than it is to be sick. I've been healthy and I've been sick, and believe me, it's a lot cheaper and a lot more fun to be healthy. And the way you obtain and maintain good health is a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. And that goes for men as well as women. I know we're talking about men's health today, but that goes for women as well. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, folks, look at that as a sign. It's a symptom. Something's wrong. Get it fixed. Same thing with acid reflux. Usually pretty easy to fix. Folks, if you have a question, the number here at the studio is 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E. My website, if you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, my books, Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser, drjoeesposito.com, also available on Amazon. If you have questions, you want to listen to podcasts of my past shows, drjoeesposito.com. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, so glad that you're here. I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with me. What we're talking about today is men's health. It's an issue because, I said, I've been practicing 32 years now, and years ago I didn't see a lot of the problems I'm seeing with men. Of course, I'm seeing a lot of cancer cases, prostate issues, romantic issues, but also the ability to make babies. And we said earlier that sperm counts around the world have declined by more than 50% between 1973 and 2013, and they continue to drop. That's scary, 50% in your lifetime. And if this continues, it really is a threat. The skyrocketing male infertility is threatening, ultimately could survival of mankind. Because we're not able to make babies, and the babies we are making, the sperm is now weaker in many cases. And so this becomes a real serious issue, and it's not just the sperm, it's also about men's health. Like I said, prostate cancer, other cancers. So a couple of things I want you to consider. Number one, things to stay away from, burgers, fatty animal products, significant source of exposure to pesticides like polychlorinated biphenyls. They're called BCPs. There we go. These chemicals take decades to break down the environment, which is why they're still being detected despite being banned in the 1970s. We're still finding it here. A number of studies show that men with the high levels of these chemicals in their bodies are at greater risk of both dying from prostate cancer and also sperm issues than men who don't have these problems. So what do we do about it? Once again, I never leave you hanging. I always got to give you something to do. What you want to do is if you're going to do animal products, that'd be meat, dairy, cheese, butter, yogurt, ice cream, eggs, I'm going to recommend you do organic only or don't eat them. Now, when you cut them out of your diet, you really increase your chances of surviving. In fact, if you just cut dairy products out of your diet, there are studies that show you can increase your life expectancy by 8 years. If you cut all animal products out of your diet, you can increase your life expectancy by 11 years. Now, if I had a pill and I was going to say to you, Bob, Tim, John, I want you to take this pill, and it's going to give you, chances are it's going to increase your life by 11 quality years, and you're going to save a ton of money. Would you do it? I bet you would. And here I'm giving you the pill. There it is. Just cut back or cut out on the animal products. And when you do, I've never had anyone do it and go, wow, that was a stupid mistake. People just go, I'm amazed. I have so much more energy. I feel better. My bowels are functioning better. My romantic capabilities have returned to like I was when I was a kid. My brain is working better. I feel better. Yeah. The number one consumer of energy we have as humans is romance, and the number two consumer of energy is digestion. And the hardest thing to digest is animal products. Now, I'm a realist. I get that you're probably not going to do everything I say, but at least consider going to organic animal products. Sushi, another problem. Many of the most popular seafood varieties of sushi, including eel, tuna, and salmon, have high levels of PCBs as well as heavy metal mercury. So these chemicals are bad for your prostate, but the mercury is bad for your heart and your nervous system. As a chiropractor, I want to make sure your nervous system is healthy. Increasing research shows that mercury raises your risk of heart disease, and although fish are generally rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which do help your heart, there isn't any evidence to back up the idea that the benefit of eating omega-3s counteracts the damage caused by the mercury. If you're going to do omega-3 fatty acids, and I think you should, by the way, I take them every single day, there's three choices. Number one, there's fish oil. Fish oil, you run the risk of mercury. Wouldn't do it. Krill oil, krill is a better choice. It's in what's called the phospholipid form, which is easier to absorb, and much lower risk of heavy metal toxicity. Much better choice. I don't eat animal products. So what do? I do something called algae oil. Now, fish don't produce omega-3 fatty acids. Fish get it from eating smaller fish who eat the algae. So the algae is the source of the omega-3 fatty acids. So by eating an algae oil, you're getting the purest form of omega-3 fatty acids in the form that your body needs. Now, it's a little more expensive than the other forms, but you know what? The money you're going to save by making sure your nervous system is working, your digestive system is working, and eating the right foods, you can more than afford the algae oil. Had a patient not too long ago come into our offices and say, well, Dr. Joe, and the Super Greens, the essential source, are very inexpensive for what you're getting. And they said, well, Dr. Joe, I'm on a really tight budget. And I said, you can't afford not to take these products. Because when you start taking them, most people report higher energy, better bowel function, brain function. You'll make more money because you'll work harder and you'll feel better and you'll enjoy life more. This is not dress rehearsal. We only go around once in life, and I want you to get the best in life that you can. And when it comes to supplements, I absolutely positively, the first one I would take is Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. They're also on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Susan, how can we make your day better today?
Hi.
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 I recently went through a divorce, and I went to see a psychiatrist for the first time, and I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and obsessive-compulsive disorder, and I was prescribed medications, but I sometimes still feel depressed or anxious.
Sure.
I thought I heard you earlier in the broadcast saying that there were some connections between the digestive system and
yes,
your
emotions.
other systems.
Sure.
That
yep.
Is there anything that in terms of chiropractics, is there anything that you can think of that I should have tested?
Absolutely, yes. Well, what happens is your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them down into something called amino acids. Then the rest of the food and the amino acids are passed into your small intestine where fats and proteins and carbohydrates are broken down. The amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps you calm down. When I see OCD, anxiety, depression, we're always looking at a serotonin issue. And you can't,
right.
you got to give the body the raw materials to produce the serotonin, and you get that from making sure your digestive system is working properly. Now, 95% of the serotonin in your body is not used in your brain. It's used in your digestive system. So if you're not breaking down the food properly and you don't have enough serotonin, your brain is going to suffer because the digestive system is going to win out. So I find that every case I've seen with OCD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADD, ADHD, you got to fix the digestive system. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that gives you pleasure. And the pleasure neurotransmitter is one that when we have depression or if we go through an issue like a divorce, which is the second most stressful thing you can do, death of a loved one is number one, and a change in your life, like a divorce, losing your job, that's the number, or moving, that's the number two stress you can experience. That's from Dr. Hans Selye in Canada's research. But if we have a digestive problem, we can't produce the neurotransmitters. And many times as a pain management expert, patients will come to our offices and talk to my doctors and say, well, doc, I have horrible pain. What do I do about it? Well, if your digestive system isn't working, you're not getting glutamine, which becomes GABA, which is the neurotransmitter that suppresses your pain levels. So if you have a digestive problem, Susan, chances are it's going to affect your brain. And you've gone through the stress of the divorce, we've got to get the body working properly again. And I would do that by checking the digestive system, checking the spine, of course, and then we get you on a good diet. Make sense?
Okay, yes.
Thanks, Susan.
Unfortunately, with this divorce, my insurance has changed.
Hold on one second, Susan, okay? Hold on one second. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. If you want to get my supplements, my books, they're also on Amazon as well. Hey, number here, 844-44-Dr. That rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. Hey, tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here, as we just heard, and I'm so glad that you're here because we're talking today about men's health and things that men have to be concerned about, and women, that you're probably not thinking about. And we talked a little bit about sushi before the break because sushi can have mercury and cadmium in it, and we got to cleanse the body. And you do that by just eating a good diet, things like Super Greens, Essential Source, making sure the bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day. But another reason sushi may not be good for you is actually the rice. Now, the rice can contain something called arsenic. Now, it's in the soil. We talked about this a little earlier, too. And the rice just absorb it. Now, the levels vary from product and where the rice is grown, but the Food and Drug Administration doesn't test for toxic levels regularly, so it's hard to know what you're eating. Now, arsenic is a known carcinogen, and it's suspect in increasing your blood pressure, too. So people that have blood pressure might want to be careful with rice. Not only that, but the semi-metallic metal messes with your blood sugar, regulate the hormones that regulate your blood sugar, and too much of it can cause insulin resistance, which is what's the precursor to what essentially becomes diabetes. Vary your grains. Stick with eating rice maybe once or twice a week, suggests Consumer Reports, which has published extensive testing on arsenic levels in food. Organic rice most likely is going to be less likely to have the arsenic because one of the things that we get, one of the places we can get it is from chicken poop. We talked about this earlier. Many chicken feeds have arsenic in it, and when chicken poop it out, they use the poop as a fertilizer, and it can get it as well. So if you're going to eat rice, another reason I want you to do organic. Lots more to talk about. Let's go back to the callers, though. Joe, how can we make your day better?
So my wife is not really interested in intimacy.
Uh-huh.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, it could be a couple of things. As a woman goes older, of course, if she's going through menopause, that can lower her testosterone levels. What we need to do then is try to boost up her testosterone levels for all of us as we get older. It's not just as a romantic hormone, but it also is important for muscles. And not just your biceps and your triceps. How about your heart? How about your digestive system, your blood vessels? These are all muscles. So what we want to do then is we want to start thinking about how can we keep our testosterone from dropping and raise it back up. So a couple of things we can do. Stay away from everything we talked about today. And if you missed some of the show, I'm going to archive this on my website, drjoeesposito.com. So chemicals can lower the testosterone levels. The other thing we want to look at is your adrenal glands. The adrenal glands produce something called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone becomes DHEA. And if you're under stress, the DHEA becomes cortisol, which is your stress hormone. If you're not under stress, it becomes your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, estradiol. So we want to make sure the adrenal glands are working properly. So if somebody's under a lot of stress, chemical or physical, if they're in a lot of pain, that can stress the adrenal glands. If you're drinking a lot of coffee or stimulants, that can stress the adrenal glands. If you have a bad diet. So you might want to recommend some adrenal supplements for men and women. I take adrenal supplements every day. I take Withenia and Eleuthero, which are plant-based ones. If you eat animal products, there's a company I use called Standard Process. They make something called Drenamin. And to feed the adrenals then kind of goes downstream, or upstream, I guess, and starts to feed the process to make the testosterone levels. Exercise is a wonderful aphrodisiac because exercise increases your testosterone levels as well. Is she overweight?
No.
Okay, because fat produces estrogen, which counteracts testosterone. So there's a lot of things you might want to check on her to find out where the problems are, but most likely I would look at the adrenals and staying away from perfumes, hairsprays, artificial smells, air fresheners, because those are the things that are going to affect it the most.
Yeah, she knew a lot of that stuff. So
okay, good. All right, well, then it could be a pinched nerve, too. If she has pinched nerves going to her ovaries or adrenals, that can be affecting testosterone levels as well. So you listen to the whole show again if you just tuned in and see what may be the missing link and see if that helps.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate the call. And that's not an uncommon question, by the way, that Joe has there. It's a question we get all the time from men and women. Men will say, listen, I'm just not interested anymore. Women, I'm not interested anymore. And another thing that comes when it comes to romance is use it or lose it. And so many times if you don't have someone that you can be intimate with, that the time span goes and you start to lose some of that as well, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. My concern, though, is the testosterone level's low. And if it is, what do we do to boost those testosterone levels back up again? And like I said, it's usually an adrenal issue. So we're talking today about men's health and things that men have to worry about as well as women. But this is a surprising thing you may not know about: credit card receipts. Now, you might just jam a bunch of them into your wallet or your pocket, but the receipts are coated with bisphenol A, or BPA, which is the same thing that lines cans, which can affect your hormones. That's the same material that in plastics as well. We established that earlier. BPA is bad for your sperm. It's bad for your prostate. It's also bad for your heart. Now, decline receipts if you can, like gas pumps, ATMs, and when possible, if you go to stores, just don't take them. Now, try to put them in a separate envelope, not in your wallet, because the BPA can get on your money, which can then affect your body as well. Now, money is one of the dirtiest things you can handle. So if you're counting money, if you're touching money, I recommend you wash your hands very well, because gosh knows where that money was before it went into your wallet, and chances are it's people with BPA are rubbing against the money, so to speak. Airplane boarding passes are made with the same thermal paper as receipts, and those are easy to avoid by downloading things like e-tickets or printing them off on regular paper before you hit the airport. So if you're going to touch them, and sometimes you have to. I mean, as a business person, you may need the receipts. I do. So what I do is when I touch them, put them in a box, go wash my hands. And airport the same way. In airports, who knows what's there. So unfiltered tap water. This can be a problem with men. Unfiltered tap water, if your pipes leading to it are polluting your drinking water with lead and arsenic. Now, lead is a neurotoxin that may be associated with Alzheimer's disease, and it's also linked to high blood pressure. So get yourself at least a standard carbon filter. We have some on my website if you want some under-counter filters. That's at drjoeesposito.com. We have them there because so many people say, well, Doc, I hear you talk about water, and you want to at least filter the water. I don't like drinking bottled water if I can avoid it, because the bottled water many times releases the plastics into the water, like the bisphenol A, and you don't know where that water was. So it could have been put in a bottle, put on a truck, left in heat, it melted just a little bit, and now the chemicals are in the bottled water. And a lot of those bottled waters are very acidic. If you do what's called a pH test on it, you can find those bottled waters are very acidic, which means they're loaded with toxins. Now, men, we're going to start wrapping up the show here. Now, listen, if you missed the show, you missed a great show. But the good news is, right, boys, we agree, Josh, Ahmad, Johnny, they're all giving thumbs up there, my board operators there. But if you missed this, and all my shows I think are great shows, right, guys? Yes, they're all nodding yes. Okay, that's right. Don't forget, without me, you don't have a job, so you better agree. Oh, yes, sir, they're saying. Yes, sir. I archive all my shows on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Last thing I want to talk about is your cell phone. Folks, don't put the cell phone in your front pocket. It's not good for you. The radiation can adversely affect your reproductive organs. If you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, you want to listen to archive radio shows, watch videos of my lectures, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Also, my supplements and books are available on Amazon. If you have a question, you can send them to me through the website, drjoeesposito.com. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.